Joco Community Radio. From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
New details in a deadly Wisconsin parade crash. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Waukesha, Wisconsin Police Chief Dan Thompson says the SUV driver who plowed into a Christmas parade, killing at least 5 people and injuring 48 others, was leaving the scene of a domestic dispute that had taken place just minutes earlier.
We are confident he acted alone. There's no evidence that this is a terrorist incident.
Thompson says suspect Darrell Brooks Jr. will likely be charged with 5 counts of intentional homicide, with more charges possible as the investigation continues. President Biden today offering condolences to those affected by the Wisconsin parade crash.
President Biden says he and the First Lady are grieving the deaths of 5 people.
And an entire community is struggling to cope with the horrific act of violence.
The president thanked first responders and emergency room doctors and says his administration is monitoring the situation.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. A Florida man photographed carrying a lectern belonging to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office at the U.S. Capitol during the January 6th violence pleaded guilty today to several charges stemming from his role in the riot. 36-year-old Adam Johnson could avoid prison as part of a plea deal, but that will be up to the judge overseeing the case. President Biden today announcing he's nominating Jerome Powell to serve a second 4-year term as chair of the Federal Reserve.
Put directly, at this moment, both enormous potential and enormous uncertainty for our economy, we need stability and independence at the Federal Reserve.
Powell was elevated to his current post by former President Trump. Americans are on the move ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. The TSA reporting it screened more than 2.2 million people nationwide yesterday. That's the 4th straight day with numbers above 2 million. America's listening to Fox News.
Not right.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson in Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Have you written a book? You can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company. Countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their book to the market. Our professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, our authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books, like Amazon and brick-and-mortar bookstores. So make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Don't wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author and seeing your name in print. You've already written a book, so the next thing to do is make this free call right now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
800-925-7086. 800-925-7086. That's 800-925-7086.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to No Judgment Here. I am your host, Tish.
Tonight, you and I are in for a special two-part show here on No Judgment Here because we get to hear my guest and radio host, Greg McBrayer, tell his story. It's a story of perseverance and overcoming. How blessed are we that the last 2 weeks we have had gentlemen share, and I thank you, Greg, for coming on and sharing. And last week, Scott Odom, if you are listening, I am still getting comments from you sharing your story about persevering through cancer, losing your leg, and overcoming your organization, your nonprofit. It's astounding what you have done by simply sharing, and that's what we are looking for tonight. My guest has many parts of his life's journey, and that is why we're going into a two-part story. And what I want to say about tonight is that some men can be hard to get to talk or share anything. Most women will talk all day. We love to express ourselves and our emotions, right? But my hope is that no matter who is listening, man or woman, that you gain hope from Greg's story. We are being raw and transparent tonight, so listener discretion is advised. If you have little ones in the room, you can have them go and do something else, or you can listen later. Greg, welcome to my show. I'm so glad that you guys came. Your son is here listening. He'll be on next week for part 2. But you're here tonight to share your story. And I had the blessing, the privilege, and the honor, as I do always when anybody comes and shares. I know that you feel the same way as a radio show host. But when someone is as vulnerable and transparent and trusts you with their story, but our purpose is to help give others hope, to know that they're not alone, to know that they can persevere, that we don't have to remain in a victim mentality, that we can be victorious and we can help others. And so I want you to start. Greg and I actually met, like I do with all my guests, but we met and he shared, we chatted, we had some laughs tonight. We'll probably have some laughs, we'll probably be a little more on the serious side, as I know your story is important. I want to start from the beginning. Tell us, and thank you again for coming on, tell us a little bit about your life's journey thus far as a child. How was your childhood?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that amazing introduction, by the way. That was amazing. I was like, don't cry. Keep it together. You're going to be all right. You know?
Oh, we know it's okay.
Absolutely.
We know it's okay to cry. So.
Well, I wanted to come in, like, all right, but there definitely will be tears because I'm just feeling just so much love here, just sitting in this place. So I just want to thank you for that. And I just want to thank you for being so open and sharing so much love. Like it's just emanating from you. So it's beautiful. So my childhood was, like I said, when we were talking before, is bittersweet. Like I had a lot of fun when I was a kid. There was a lot of fun things that I did. I was the daredevil and, jumped off things and did backflips and that kind of thing. But then there was also the like little darker side to things. There was the just violence and fighting and then the depravity, really. Didn't have a lot. There was a long time that we lived in a little trailer house, and it was literally like a tin can. So in that little place, when it was hot, it was really hot, and you just ran around in your bathing suit, and when it was cold, then you just put all your clothes on.
Oh yeah.
So, but on top of that, I had a lot of fighting. Just about every day, or if not every other day. My parents, my mom and dad, who's actually like my stepdad, but he's I call him dad. He's my dad, and I'll get to that later.
Sure.
But there's a lot of fighting. There was a lot of stress. The stress just kind of permeated the house. Literally, like I could be riding my bike, down the street, playing with my friends and that kind of thing. When I get towards my house, just like, like when I know I'm about to, I have to go back in, I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I walking into? And it was kind of a game. Like, okay, what are we gonna get now? And if I saw plates flying, if I heard yelling when I was getting to the door, I knew to just walk in, go straight to my room, and not try not to get involved. So yeah, it was very up and down, very mostly down. But throughout, like I said, I had those little times of just fun, just
Yes.
exploration. I was always exploring, always tinkering, always figuring stuff out, and it's kind of a way for me to like direct my energy into something, rather than just like be so miserable all the time.
So I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
interrupt you. So as your parents are having arguments and plates flying, and how old were you that when you remember plates flying, and with that, additionally, when you went to your room, what would you do? How, as a child, parents that are listening that may argue in front of their children or be abusive to one another, the effects and the impact that has on a child's emotions, mentality, their growth.
Yeah.
How did that impact you growing up, and how did you feel in your room knowing that your parents are fighting and you have siblings as well?
Yeah.
As
So I have a younger sister. She's 5 years younger than me. So I remember like my first memory. It was probably as early as like maybe 7. I don't know. 6 is pushing it. But yeah, 7, 8, that kind of thing, earliest. But I just remember that being that's all I knew is that's how mom and dad are.
Gotcha.
Because my dad, stepdad, he'd been with my mom since I was 2 years old. So like I said, that relationship is all I ever knew. But
Okay.
when I would go to my room, sometimes, I would be really, really angry. And I would punch the wall, or I'd kick something, or I'd break a toy or something like that, or I'd go outside and I would just destroy shit, like, I mean, whatever I got my hands on, I'm like, oh, I'm going to break that, I'm going to break that too,
Yeah.
And other times it was just like, I was just like really deeply sad. Like, I just wanted it to stop. Like, I was just like, it was like at that point where just like, man, like I wish that this was just not how I had to, live. Like,
Yeah.
God, like I wish I didn't have to like block out, screaming and cussing and fighting, I wish that I didn't have to like try to keep an ear out because I was like, like, is my mom okay? Because, my mom and I's relationship was always like really, really tight. So, I always had that like, I need to like make sure I listen in just to make sure like nothing gets too crazy, because I've kind of felt like my mom's protector at times,
My
so
goodness.
yeah, so it was kind of like a tango of emotions that weren't really great dance partners,
Yeah.
it was like trying to do the tango, which is smooth and graceful with, an elephant, it's just like, this sucks. I don't want to
Right.
do this anymore, but I didn't know how to not do it anymore, because that's all I knew. And then couple that with my friends that I had that, like they were like, they're good, their parents, they didn't seem like that on the outside anyways.
Sure.
Later on, I found out that there was a lot of the same thing that was going around with my mom and dad's friends and that kind of thing. Because it's kind of like energies kind of attract to each other,
Sure.
So, but at the time, I was like, man, your parents like never fucking fight, bro. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
Like, why is that? My parents hate each other all the time. What the hell? So I remember like feeling that way. And like, go ahead.
And did your parents ever, either one of your parents ever apologize to you, your sister, for all the fights
Oh,
arguing in front of
absolutely.
you? Yeah, they did.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we like my mom and I and my dad, like we have a beautiful relationship. I mean, we have had a like literal falling out. I mean, whoa. But, kind of like what I was explaining earlier with my son, always kind of come back to that north, that true north,
Yes.
And it's all based on unconditional love, and we always come back to that. And now there's so much healing that's happened since all that. So, not to give away too much of the story, but like it's good. I love my mom. I love my dad.
Yes.
They're amazing. I'm sure that you'll want to have my dad on at one point because his story is pretty freaking crazy too.
I would love it. I would love to have him on. Just bring your whole family.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody.
I'm telling you,
Might be a great story.
I need to like, honestly, I've thought about this so many times to have like a reality show. My family is so whack. Like it's amazing. They're beautifully beautifully screwed up, you know, and they're
But most families are,
yeah,
right?
and it's that's absolutely awesome. You know, my
Yeah.
dad has one leg and he like calls himself Hop Along and threatens to beat you with his, you know, freaking prosthetic leg. So it's
I love
amazing.
it. It is amazing. It
All in good
is.
fun.
It is.
All in good fun. But yeah, so you know, fast forward from my childhood.
Mhm.
You know, that was basically my childhood. You know, I had different hobbies that I would get into, like skateboarding or scooters or pogo sticking at one point, you know, whatever was extreme, whatever I thought that I could, like, you know, get a thrill out of, because again, like I wanted to get like this feeling
Mhm.
over this feeling that I feel so much, you
Right.
know, this like dragging, like heavy, like, oh, I got to go back there kind of thing. So I was always doing flips off of something, or you know, I'd crawl up on top of the roof. I'd pull the trampoline close to the house, climb up on top of the roof, and like do gainers off of the roof onto the trampoline, and then do a front flip on the ground. You know, and then I'd holler at my mom like, "Mom, mom," you know, like I would holler until she came out. She'd come out, and I'd just go right when she saw me. Boom, and that's when she almost had heart attacks.
I'm
And that kind of
sure.
thing. Oh
I'm
my
sure.
God.
Yes.
Damn it,
Yes.
Gregory. You know? So, you know, there's a lot of really good times, you know, in my childhood. So I definitely don't want to misrepresent it, because
Absolutely. That's
you
right.
know, I did have a beautiful childhood. You know, it just had a beautifully dark side too. You know.
Sure.
So anyways, getting into like high school, I moved from a little small town. Actually, I moved a couple times, but there's a little spot that I had in Los Alamos, New Mexico. I lived there for a semester of high school,
Mhm.
and then moved to Burleson here. And it was a very big like culture shock, because I mean, from Menard to Burleson, it was like, whoa. I mean, the graduating class that I was in was like 12, you know, like in Burleson. I mean, in Menard, you know, and I get to Burleson, I'm like, holy shit, you meet a new person every day, you know.
Exactly.
And I ate it up, because you know, right before I made the move to Burleson, you know, like I lost my virginity. So at that point, like that was another thing, like the whole extreme everything, you know,
Right.
doing skateboarding and that kind of thing. It was another outlet. So this ever growing like hole inside of me, like I could fill that with something else now, you know, like, oh, and this is even better than the other stuff, because this feels really good, you know.
Right. Right.
So you know, like I lost my virginity at 14 right before I moved to Burleson, and then I'm thrown into this, you know, basically the lion's den, you know, or the snake's den. I don't know whichever one you see Burleson as. I don't know. I had a great time there. Had a really good time there. So you know, I figured out, hey, you know, I'm somewhat good looking. I can talk my way into and out of a lot of things. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use this to my advantage.
Sure.
So I kind of like developed this personality that was kind of shifty and shady. This kind of personality that was kind of like based on material, based on like reputation. You know, and what did I have to portray to get the reputation that I wanted, you know, that kind of thing. And mostly it was for the girl.
Mhm.
You know, that's kind of what it became, chasing the tail, you know. But not to disrespect any women or anything like that, but that's my mindset at that point, you know.
Right.
But yeah, so you know, it was just more and more ways to like basically redirect what my consciousness was, what I was focusing on, you know, so that I again didn't have to feel like this loneliness or this, you know, like feeling like I'm not good enough. Because like this whole time, at an early age, that my mom actually told me where I came from, you know. So I knew that I was the literal black sheep of the family.
Mm.
So I'm the brown kid, and then I have my sister who's white, my mom who's white, and my dad who's white. So I knew right off the bat, I knew that my dad wasn't like, you know, my real dad, but he was dad.
Mhm.
So my mom explained that I was a product of a rape, you know. So like she was raped, and I popped out, you know. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Before you go any further, how do you receive that
Oh my
as a
goodness.
teenager? Like, I mean,
Well,
gosh.
it was like a punch in the chest. You know, it was like I don't know, like every shred of like what I felt like I came from. Like my last name, the McBrayers, it's goes way back into Scottish history. It's got a family crest, and I've always been very, very proud of that.
Mhm.
Still to this day, I'm very proud of my last name. I like it because it sounds cool, and most people can't say it. So yeah,
That's right. I had to ask him how to pronounce it before we came on.
But like when I received that news, it was kind of like the pride that I had in where I was from, my last name, it kind of just like took the wind out of sails. I was like,
Mhm.
"Oof," like, well, all right, awesome. I'm basically an accident. Awesome. Yay, me. Great. So that quickly turned into just screw the world. I just want to watch the world burn. Let's go.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not even supposed to be here. So let's ride, let's party, let's go. And like I said, in Burleson, lots more activity.
Activity,
Yeah,
opportunity.
very, very much more opportunity. So, parties became a very, very big part of my life. It was literally like go to school to find out what the party was. That's pretty much the only need I had for school, and to like pick up more chicks. Like
Mhm.
that was
Mhm.
the pool that I used because school didn't come easy to me. So I didn't want to apply myself. I remember I distinctively remember times where like I don't know, like my mom would be pushing me hard, or like I'd be like just catching a bunch of flack from my grandparents or whatever like that about my grades,
Mhm.
or I wouldn't be able to play football, and I was like, all right, well, I'll do some work, right? And I would always make straight A's. Like I would just, I got this, and I just apply myself and learn the shit, and then I would go make like A+ on the freaking test. And it was just like, okay, I got this,
Mm.
but I didn't want to. Like I didn't see any value in it,
Mhm. Mhm.
and in ways there's ways that I still kind of don't,
Mhm.
but there's also ways that I see the profound value in it. But like at high school me, I was like, "Nah, screw this. I'm just here for the girls, like tell me where the party's at, let's go." I started smoking pot, started like dabbling in just like experimenting with different strains of that, like I remember one time I did a gas mask, and I was just like, "Where am I?"
Oh my
But
gosh.
I loved it because it was like I don't have to feel all this
Right.
stupid shit. This is awesome. And actually, it's what's funny that I say that, and that's the part of the story that pops to mind when my son's here. Um, you know, uh, that is when I used anything, not just marijuana or drugs or alcohol. That's when I used anything to like as a band-aid, or as a like a void filler. So
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
an outside source, an outside anything to fill what was broken within me.
Right.
So it
Right.
just didn't work. It never worked.
Right.
You can't do it. And it wasn't until way later in my life that I started realizing, hey, you know what? Maybe I should look at me. Yeah, I'm gonna look at me rather than everybody else, right? But anyways, so I found alcohol at about 15, and
Wow.
like actually I went to Spencer's and I had this belt buckle that had a flask built into it, so you just slid out, and I had a belt buckle full of Jack Daniels and a pocket full of Altoids, so I'd take a pull in between classes and then put some Altoids in, and then I'd be good. So, but again, it was all this like these measures, these layers and layers and layers of distraction,
Mhm.
so that I didn't have to feel like that emptiness. So
Sure.
I didn't have to feel that like almost malice for myself for being in an accident,
Mm.
for like the pain that my mom went through, like
Right.
going through that and all that good stuff, right? So like I kind of felt like all this guilt for that in the first place, and then having all of this just bullshit going on at home all the time. It didn't stop in Menard, it came to Burleson.
Right. Right.
And that was actually when I started getting really involved in it and started like fist fighting my dad. There was several times where we got into straight up fist fights, and like he smacked me in the face, and I've smacked him in the face. Like he went to work with black eye, bloody nose, and did it like it was funny because he
Man.
told the fall I fell down the stairs story, and I was like, because you didn't want anybody to know that I whooped your ass. You know? Oh yeah, it was hilarious. Like, it was so like twisted that like
Mhm. Mhm.
I got such pleasure out of like
Mm.
kind of thing, right? So I don't know, like that was normal. So all of these distractions were like allowing me to kind of just keep floating, keep kind of like coasting. Now, like, I was held back in second grade way back in the day. So as a junior, I was already 18.
Mm.
And I decided, you know what? I don't really like high school anymore. So I'm dropping out. So like I told my mom, like, hey, I'm dropping out. And she was like, hell you are. And I'm like, screw you, I'm 18. And I went and dropped out, right after that, got my GED, because I was like, I want to go to college. That's the next level. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Right.
So like I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna like drop out of high school. I'm gonna be the first person in my family to go to college as a high school dropout. Boom. What's up? Because that's the thing my family was all about is the status, the status, the status. Actually, the thought comes up. I remember my uncle. I remember seeing my uncle, my mom's brother. And him and I have a really close relationship these days now. But I remember seeing him as just like the coolest ever, like the freaking coolest, because like he had the career, he went to college, he was like he worked his ass off, and he had like cool toys and the girls, and we'd always go hang out, and he'd like sneak me a beer here and there and that kind of thing. And he was just the coolest ever because, like he had it figured out. He had it all figured out. Like he like did the school and got the career, and he's doing the system, like he's got it. That's what I wanted, or what I thought I wanted, right? So like I was like, I'm dropping out of high school, going to college. That's what you're supposed to do. So I'm gonna just skip ahead, boom, hey, there's a corner I can cut here, bam, I'm gonna go. So my saving grace was I had just quit the football team and started cheerleading, over a girl. It was one of the hottest girls in school, and I did a backflip in the middle of class, and touched like the ceiling, on purpose because I didn't want to go to class. So I got sent to the office, and after school, she approaches me and is like, "Oh my gosh, that was really good. Have you ever thought about cheering? You should try it for my team." Remember like getting like the slick look and getting like the debonair on, like, for you, girl, I'll do anything. Like, hey, like, where the gym at? Let's go. So, I start cheerleading. I end up falling in love with it. It was exactly my speed. It's flipping and, over the top energy, and like, you get to throw people into the air, and there's girls. So I was like, yeah, this is awesome. This is what I want. So I'm going to do that. So I did that. And so I dropped out. Right after I had dropped out, some scouts from Tarleton had, they came through to establish a stunt class. Saw me and a couple other people, tumbling, stunting, that kind of thing. Was like, started talking to me, invited me out to like a workshop or whatever, to meet the coach, and I did that. And next thing I know, like I'm enrolling into Tarrant County College, because I had to transfer in so that they could give me a scholarship because of my GED. I'm not actually sure why I actually had to go to Tarrant County College. I knew I had to do something with a transfer to get a scholarship.
Yes.
Anyways, semantics. But so I went to Tarrant County Junior College and went to college, and like just went awesome. I did great, straight A's, because I was like, boom, I'm going to college, I'm going to university, and I'm getting a scholarship, only to find out I got $500. Didn't even pay for my books. And but I got to be a cheerleader, so I got to hang out with all the hottest girls. So I'm still cool.
Right.
Like I said, remember, like these layers of distraction. Cheerleading was just another layer of distraction, and it was a really deep layer because there was so much involved in it. There was the partying, there was the sex, there was the drugs, there was the like excitement, there was the flipping. So it was like everything in one. And I was like, yes, this is my identity. To try to like push away from that, like, yeah, you're just a product of rape. So before I actually like ended up going to college, I keep skipping parts.
That's okay.
It's just coming out. So, but before I went to college, I met this girl, while at the tumble club, actually where I'm at right now. Oh my goodness, we're getting there. But and we ended up dating, and that's actually where my son, the one who's sitting right here, came from. It's actually funny. We have this joke, that like I tell him, don't use Duralex, okay? And he's like, why? You're why. But yeah, we joke about both joke about a lot of off the wall stuff. But I feel like, I don't know. To me, it's there is no taboo.
Right.
The more you make it taboo, the more it's just like, oh, I'm gonna go there because you said I can't. Where there is light, there can't be no darkness.
That's right.
So yeah. But anyways, so I meet at the time was just a girl, she liked me. So I was like, all right, this is cool. I kind of liked her. We started dating. I kind of liked her a little more and ended up taking her virginity. So that led to, again, like, my son. And I'll leave the next for the next segment, because it leads up to fun times in college.
Good.
Yeah.
But what's so cool is, as you're telling your story and as I'm listening and watching, observing your story, everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And a story or a journey of something that's super hard.
Yeah.
And then if you allow it, here comes the good stuff.
Absolutely.
So we're going to hear a little bit more about how your son arrived and his mom when we come back. You guys join us back here in just a few minutes.
Hey, Jill, congratulations on your son getting into the college of his dreams and with a full scholarship, too. Yes, we are so proud of him. I have to be honest. I'm a bit worried about our daughter getting into college. It's so competitive out there, and I feel overwhelmed with where to start. I completely understand. Listen, I felt the same way, and then I met Dr. Gina of Education Prep Centers. She put a plan in place that helped our son stand out in the admissions process, and that gave us a peace of mind for how to create a financial roadmap for his future. Wow, that's great. Sounds like I need to give her a call. Yes, she definitely helped our son find the perfect college, meet all his deadlines, and help us feel less anxious about the whole process. You need to reach out to her. Just check out educationprepcenters.com and set up a complimentary assessment with Dr. Gina. You'll be so glad you did. Education Prep Centers, college admissions made easy.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleburne, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleburne, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
We are back. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 days a year on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen, go to tuneinjoco.com and download the free app. All of our shows can also be found on any one of your favorite podcast platforms, such as Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and Spreaker.com. Check out our lineup and more on jococommunityradio.com. Thanks for tuning in. This episode and more brought to you by Next Level Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed, at 844.tex.hail or 844-839-4245. Again, that's 844-839-4245. And before we get back to Greg and his story, I want you guys to know that I am watching the comments here. And if you have any questions or comments for him, please let us know. I'm sorry for Gary. I said Greg. For Gary, please let us know. And actually, we have a few here. And I will ask any questions that you guys have for him.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear from you.
See here. Sorry.
No worries. No worries.
Greg.
Gary,
All right.
Greg, whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me late for dinner. It's okay.
All right, Greg. Tiffany Carlin says Greg McBrayer is a special guy. Thanks for having him. You're welcome. It's an honor.
Thanks,
Mike
Tiffany.
Ross says, "Well, Greg, it's amazing to hear a young man like you to openly speak about the troubles in your childhood and how you have overcome. Like Tish said, it's hard for guys to open up and speak of their hurts and troubles, myself included. But you kind of remind me of myself with that hardcore mentality. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do. The plus is succeed at it. Such a great story so far." Caroline Young says, "Very cool individual. Thank you for sharing." All right, we're going to keep on going. See,
that's amazing. Oh,
you're
my
making
goodness.
a difference. Like, here's what's crazy about people when they're sharing their story, that people get bogged down in the overwhelming thought of, is what I'm saying matters? It does. I see you. I see you. I see you. And I see you when you tell your story. I see the strength that you have. I see that in every guest that I have that comes on and is extremely vulnerable. When they walk into this room and they sit down and we are sitting, chatting eye to eye, face to face, the story that comes out that they didn't have to share. No one told them, no one's making them. But you're here because you're called or led to do that, because someone on the other side of this mic is going to hear it either today. They may watch it we're also on YouTube. They may watch you on YouTube. They may tune into their favorite Spotify or podcast and hear Greg McBrayer's story and think, dang, I can do this. I can pull myself up and out of this. There's another side to this crap, this madness. And I can find myself and be me and do me. You just peel the layers slowly, and then voila.
Yeah.
Here you are. I love it. So thank you. You've already moved so many people and a lot of people listening. And I want to move into, again, thank you for being here. I want to move into you meeting your son's mom. You fell in love with her. She was the one.
Yeah. I don't think it was so much sorry, I'm wiping my eyes. That was really moving. Thank you so much for that. Like, that was amazing. Like, I really am touched that people out there that are listening are feeling what I'm feeling right now. That's amazing. Okay, so wow. So meeting my what's turned into my ex-wife. But meeting my son's mom, it wasn't so much, love at first sight. Maybe it was actually that way for her. I mean, I remember her saying those words, like, I loved you from the second I met you, right? And it was actually really adorable. And that's what I grew later to just really adore about her, because you're just like, and that's actually one of the things that was crushed of like for me later on in our relationship. But I just had this like, oh man, she really loves me, and that's kind of what bonded me right there, even though I didn't want to admit anything about that. I didn't want to say anything about that. Because that's not how players play. You don't get attached. You gotta hit it. You gotta quit it. That kind of thing. So, but I was bonded to her because that like unconditional love, I'd never seen it before, and I knew I wanted it, and I knew that like the way, like everything about it was wrong. I was 17 years old, a few months away from being 18. She was 15 years old. So, like I everything about it was wrong, but just that like, oh my goodness, like this girl like really, 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 really cares deeply about me. Like when she looks at me, I see she looks at my soul kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
She sees some kind of shit in me that I definitely don't see, you know? So that kind of intrigued me just at that. So we dated, you know? So I'm like, all right, well, okay, we'll date, you know? Like, okay, whatever. Not really my style, but we'll date, you know? So I met her parents, you know, like there's a dad.
Okay, in your
Go ahead.
face saying that.
Yeah.
Because what? You've never met any other of the girls' parents?
Oh, no, no,
or-
no. It wasn't that I had never met any other girl's parents. It was just like I had hit a point in my life where I was like, I don't want to date. I just want to just, you know,
Okay.
just move around, you know,
Mhm,
like I want to
mhm.
have this one and that one and that one and that one and that one kind of thing. Because I had dated, and then that girl turned out to be crazy or whatever, you know, and not
Gotcha.
really crazy. It was just me manifesting what was inside of me.
Mhm,
There's really nothing at all wrong with any of the people that I have ever dated. Nothing wrong.
mhm.
They were just manifesting. They were their manifestations of my inner brokenness, and it was just a mirror image. You know, that's it. And I hope that being with me was helped them see that in some way, and they're doing fantastic right now. You know,
Right, right.
but then you know, like that like intrigued me. So I met her parents. It was her dad and her stepmom, and they gave me the run around and all that good stuff. And they told me, you know, like, you know, I remember both of them were like looking at my soul. They're like looking at me, right? You know, dad's got the like, I'm gonna kill you eyes, you know, kind of
Mhm,
thing.
mhm.
Had even made mention to his gun several times, you know, like definitely Texas style, like meet the parents
Yes.
kind of thing, right? And I remember them telling me, like, if you touch her, you know, you're gonna have hell to pay, right? And like I think the stepmom actually used the finger like this, you know, like wag the finger in my face, you know. So I was like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, you know, absolutely, blah, blah, blah. And I remember feeling some type of way about walking out of the house and kind of knowing that I was like, okay, whatever. But then they're like, damn, I told them, I gave them my word. I said, yeah, I won't. Ah, man. But I know I want to, and I know I'm probably going to. Damn, you know. So I kind of found myself in this kind of like morality, kind of like
Yeah.
rock in a hard place a lot, actually, because one thing that I actually left out is, you know, I grew up very, very Christian. So you throw that on the top of everything, where like I have all this fighting and fussing, and then all this like, you know, just craziness in my house, and then, you know, but Jesus says, you know, and go to church as much as we possibly can, as much as the doors are open, that kind of thing. So I had
Mm.
this like morality kind of issue with all the things that I was doing, and I was just kind of pushing down again, like using more of the distractions as layers to push down that like, you're fucking up voice, you know,
Yeah.
like this is wrong voice, you know, like don't do that voice, you know, that kind of thing.
Because when we were chatting, you said when the church that you went to, it was more like punishing you for all the
Absolutely.
wrong things that you were doing or were going
Absolutely.
to do, and you were punished.
Yep.
And so I'm sorry, go ahead. I just
So
remember you
yeah,
sharing that.
actually, I'm glad you brought that up. My like biggest memory of like Christianity and like growing up in like the household that I grew up in was that like you're always going to be wrong, but by the grace of God, you're right
Mm.
somehow.
Wow.
Yeah, so like you're a human, so therefore you are eternally sinful, and like you're messed up, and because Jesus came down and shed his blood for you, now God can look at you, you know, that kind of thing, right?
Wow, scary.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a kind of twisted kind of like way. I mean, I wouldn't call it twisted. I mean, I think that that's just my interpretation of it because of the way that it was portrayed to me.
Sure.
Because I definitely don't want to say anything like bad about, you know, any religion, because religion is necessary. I feel like, you know, some people really need it.
Right, right.
I know I needed it
Mm.
as a stepping stone to really find me.
Mm.
That's my personal understanding of religion. Is it's just, to me, it's not to be taken too seriously.
Mm.
It's to be used as a tool, as a doorway, as a road to finding the beautiful, most amazing you,
Right.
and falling deeply madly in love with that, you
Mm.
know. So it's really no matter what you believe, as long as you love yourself deeply, it
Mm.
doesn't matter,
Mm.
you know. But that's just the way that I see it, you know.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, so we dated, and it was like I think it was like 3 months, so whatever, that you know, we dated. I tried to go on a couple dates with her. I took her to a place called Cowboys in Arlington, and that was a disaster, and it was crazy. We ended up way late, getting a ticket while we were out because I ran a red light. And yeah, it was crazy. And I got the dad eyes again,
Of
and
course, yes.
the deep voice, like, I'll break you, son, kind of thing. So yeah, it was crazy. So honestly, I was feeling like trapped, like I couldn't do what I wanted to do, like I would say, hey, hey, let's go to the park, like, and it's midnight. And I'm 18 at this time. So like,
Gotcha.
I'm like, I can go. I can go. I walk out my front door. I'm like, Mom, I'm by, or she's sleeping already. I'm like, I'm 18. I got my
Yeah.
own car. I'm gone.
Right.
So she wasn't able to do that, so like a few times we tried her sneaking out, and that was bad. That was so bad. She was so paranoid the whole time, and it was making me paranoid. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna go back. We're like 20 minutes later, after leaving her house, we're like, okay, we're going back. Your dad probably knows, like that's just bad.
Yes.
So anyways, I met a girl that was my age, same place, and she was way more appealing. She had freedom, and she had a car, and she was college bound too. She was going to go to the same college. I'm like, this is awesome. All right, so anyways, I was like, I'm kind of feeling this one. So I don't want to be the cheater guy. So I'm gonna just break up with you, and I'm gonna date her.
Right.
I'll do it admirably. Like, just hey. It's not working out. It's not you. It's me. Because I want to date her. So yeah, later. It was so shitty. That was like, okay, that's normal, so shitty. So I broke up with her, broke her heart, and I felt, oh gosh, I remember feeling so crushed about that. Like, I remember being with this new chick that I was having so much more fun with, and like, sex was crazier, like the adventures were crazier. We had our cars so we could go everywhere. And I remember feeling just like this, man, like every time that like I would see, like her on I think I still had my MySpace at that point, but or maybe it was Facebook. I think I was just getting into Facebook. Anyways, every time I'd see her, like, or think about it, I was just like, oh man, I feel so shitty for like how I did that. But hey, the more fun, and like, it's just distraction. So that relationship ended up like really affecting me deeply, because this girl, she was like, she had that feeling of love, but it was always came with a price, but it was what I was used to. So now, like, I had this like unconditional love.
Explain that.
So like that conditional love of like, like I saw with my parents. Like, hey, I'm going to be nice to you if you're nice to me, or if you are, like, completely docile and non-combative. But if you say one wrong word, then screw you, sorry, I'm a MFer kind of thing, right? So that, like, I'm not going to show you love unless you're doing exactly what I want you to
Gotcha.
do, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where my interpretation of Christianity came from, really, is the way that I felt about the love that I was receiving and not receiving, that I felt from my parents, at the time. So it's kind of like a very conditional thing.
Yes.
So with this girl, the way that she loved me was very conditional, like, so it was kind of what I was used to. And looking back, I was like, I think, why did I spend so much time with her? But looking back, I'm like, oh, duh. Like, that was a program that I was like, oh, I recognize this. Yep, this is how this is supposed to feel. It's painful. I get it. Okay, cool. Now I got it. Yay.
It's like comfort.
Exactly.
Hence,
exactly.
women that are in bad relationships, or maybe grown up with maybe a mother or father, mostly
Absolutely.
father, that might be an alcoholic or an abuser,
Yep.
then there's the magnetic wave that they are like, this is what it's supposed to be. This is comfortable. This is what I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel, as I've kind of gone through some introspection and kind of looked within me, I feel like that pattern, and that, like, just going back to what I know, is a pattern of self-limiting beliefs. It's a pattern of, like, believing that I'm worth that.
Yes.
That's all I can have.
Yes.
So it's all these negative, verbiage that you're using towards yourself. Like, oh, you're an idiot, or, you mess something up. You're like, oh, I'm so stupid. Those kind of things. I used to say that all the time about myself. You're so stupid, or golly, fucked up again. Oh my God. And I just have these, like, sometimes in the mirror, I just have these just screwed up conversations about myself, like, wow, you have really fucked up this time, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Because see that girl and I, the 18-year-old girl, we fought like cats and dogs, but we also had some great sex, like, so it was all over the place that we were either fighting or fucking, so it was so much fun and excitement and, like, toxic. And like I said, it was exactly what I was used to, and again, like, kind of like cheerleading, kind of like flipping and all that good stuff. It kind of wrapped in a whole bunch of different distractions in one, like the fighting and the excitement from the fighting and trying to one up and that kind of thing. And
Right.
the anger and the kind of thing. And then the sex. And then, we drank heavily together. We partied, we did drugs together, that kind of thing. So, I mean, we never dabbled into anything other than marijuana, and a little coke every now and then. But, like, we did all those things together. So it was like, again, I kept finding the perfect packages of
Right.
like, hey, here's all your distractions served up here right in one place.
Yes.
Go have it,
Yes.
like that kind of
Yes.
thing. So I kept finding those kind of things, attracting that. Because I feel like as just human beings, we kind of like seem to find the path of least resistance. Like
Yes.
energy always finds the path of least resistance, just like lightning. So what the mindset that I was in, and like that depravity and feeling shitty about leaving his mom like I did, and all the other stuff, it just was like a magnet. The path of least resistance was this girl.
Mm.
So anyways, I spent so much time with her, and she kind of in my head, where I believe that he wasn't mine. I was like, no, like, this person, which is the girlfriend that I was with, this person's told me that you were with this person and this person, so it's probably not mine. It's all good, but deep down, I was like, that is so my kid. Oh my god, and I'm freaking the fuck out because I am going to be a dad, and I had shitty ones, like, I'm like, I don't know how to even be a dad. How am I going to be a dad? I know what I don't want, like, I don't want to be like, cause at that point I still like, I'm product of a rape, I don't want to be like the, like, total, like, at this point he was almost like a homicidal maniac to me in my head, like such a horrible person from what my mom has said, so, I don't want to be that. And then I have this like super, like, angry at the drop of a hat, look at him wrong kind of dad that works all the freaking time and is never, ever there. I don't want to be that either. So how am I going to actually be something that I want to be? Because I don't know what driven
Wow.
from,
And that is huge. And I know we need to get back to your relationship, the conditional love relationship, but that is huge for anybody that is listening that may be stuck in a mindset of, this is what I know, so I can't be what I don't know.
Yeah.
And that is not true.
Yeah.
That is not true. You can so unlearn.
Absolutely. I mean, you
the
have
way
to.
You do. If you want to continue to move down the path to be who you are
Exactly.
intended to be the best version of who you were created to be, you have to go through the crap and you have to unlearn. And again, and I don't want to use the word victim, because being victimized is a real thing. Being a
Absolutely.
victim of something is a real thing. And I
100%.
don't want to minimize that.
But I think the mindset is what we're talking about more
Yes,
so than
yes,
the
you
actual
don't
occurrence.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You don't want to live there. You don't want to stay
Absolutely.
there, and you can get out of it.
Exactly.
And so for men that are listening, or for sons that might
Yeah.
be listening, I know my son, he did a show on fatherless kids, that one of the things that he said was, I don't know, like, I don't have anybody to show me how to do
Exactly.
this. I don't know how to work on a car because I've never had anybody. And it's true.
Yeah.
I'm his mother. I raised him from when he was 7. I don't know how to
Right.
work a car. I'm taking it to the shop,
Yeah.
But you knowing that you're going to be a father, your thoughts in your mind were, I don't want to be this way. I don't want to be that way. I don't want to do this. I'm an explosive person, or I have
Yeah.
anger management, but I don't know how to be what I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. And that like that, I'm glad you said supposed to be, because like that's what I saw. Like, I am supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
this type of parent, because this is the type of dad that, like I've heard the pastor preach about, that I've heard my mom, like say that, my dad should be more like, and I've heard all these references to like the perfect man,
Ward cleaver. Leave it
yeah,
to Beaver.
yeah, exactly.
You
No,
know?
seriously, I'm like, I grew up in a like, I feel like I grew up like my foot halfway in the 50s,
Mm.
because my grandparents were a huge influence in my life, and my grandfather was like, he was the father figure that I needed. But like, again, he was grandpa, but so it was still kind of different, but I
Yes.
latched onto that, and I learned a lot from it. But the reason why I say I had one foot in the 50s, because I grew up with a lot of like those old school man kind of responsibilities, roles, like you need to bust your ass. You need to wake up at freaking 4 a.m. and get out there and freaking get out in the snow, the rain, the sleet. No worries about like how your body feels. No worries about how hungry you are, or how like weak you are, or what hurts. You get out there and you bust your ass and you break your back and you put food on the table for your family.
Mm.
That's it. Like, that's your role in life. That's it.
Because that's what he was supposed to do.
Exactly. So I had this idea of like what manhood was, and what being a man and being manly and being a father is. So I'm like, oh shit, like I'm not of that at all. Like I freaking go through jobs like underwear, like if the first time I hear something that I don't freaking or like a boss treats me like an employee, like talks down to me, I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm out, like, but before I'm out, I'm gonna fuck some shit up for you. Watch, like you're no better than me. And that's kind of the thing, because I couldn't stand it when somebody like talked down to me, because I was like, no. I do that enough. You don't get to do that. So if you're gonna sit here and do that, then you're gonna be the outlet that I'm gonna let all this rage out on. How about that? So that's kind of like the way that my anger kind of was always sitting right there at that level.
Gotcha.
I grew up fighting. And then when I got into high school, I fought my stepdad. So fighting was another one of those like distractions. Like, hell yeah, this is like a anger release. So I kind of had all my little releases. And when I felt built up of this, I would go pick a fight. If I was just angry, I'd just pick a fight. I'd just look at somebody and be like, what the fuck? You want to fight? And just start a fucking fight, just for no reason.
Wow.
Sometimes I got my ass kicked. Sometimes I didn't, like sometimes I whooped ass, it's just like, all right, didn't win that one. I'll win the next one.
But it was a release.
Exactly. I didn't care. I was busted up, whatever like that. I didn't care. I released, so I'm good. And again, like, I'm a man. I'm not going to show this pain. I'm a man. Like, yeah, it's a bully lip, whatever, like that kind of thing. So toxic masculinity, like super toxic.
And so when you met the young lady who you say loved conditionally.
Yeah.
How did that relationship work or not?
Okay, so that relationship literally ended in me throwing all of her luggage out the third story floor of my college dorm. That's how that relationship ended. So like that very conditional love, I just like I knew that was what I used to, but I just hated it. I didn't want it, and it was we were like back and forth, break up, and then we get back together. And then there's this other guy in her life that she dated way back in the day, and she still had a thing for. And so I had this like complex of not being good enough already.
Gosh.
So then there's this representation of this other guy that's so much better. He's going to a better college. He was on TV because he plays for OU or whatever like that. So I'm like, I have this almost like complex about like, I don't want to feel like I'm not good enough from you. I already feel that like from me. So, I had that like choppy kind of like a conditional love, and I didn't want that. So one night we got into this huge fight, and I was done. I snapped, and I picked up all of her shit, and I was just threw it out the balcony, third story balcony window, or the balcony or whatever, and it hit her car and bounced open everywhere. And I was like, if you don't want to join your shit, I suggest you use the door. And I was dead serious. I was like, I'm gonna throw you out of this off this balcony if you don't leave. So that's how that relationship ended. And literally right after that, I was talking to his mom, girl number one,
right.
Unconditional love, because I knew that she did. I knew that she still did. And I knew that even if as I was denying the fact that, like my son was my son, she still loved me. Still, she was pissed off at me, but still loved me, you know? So like, I knew that. And I was like, okay, that I want that. And then obviously I knew it. Like, that's my son. Like I knew it. When he was born, I literally drove from Stephenville to freaking Baylor, All Saints in Fort Worth. I swear to God, it was like 15 minutes. I mean, I was just, I put my little Pontiac Grand Am through its paces. It was screaming at me, you know, so.
And I'm interested to find out when you come back. Now we won't be back next week, but the week after to do part 2.
Yep.
I'm interested to ask you the question is why so excited?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's how we're going to start. Ooh. You guys join us, not next week. I have another guest coming on next week, but the week after, we want to find out why it was so exciting and so important to get there. We'll see you next week. Holler and Swallers coming on next.
Love you guys.
Grandview to Godly. This is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.